let me just say this. The banks have a prominent role to play. We want our banks to be stable. We want them to be caring and compassionate and part of the team. As the Prime Minister says, we're all in this together. Matt Comyn has been the CEO of the Commonwealth Bank since April 2018. He went to Sydney Boys High. He's had 20 years' experience in banking across every field. He's been with the bank since 1999, but he's also the chairman of the Australian Bankers Association, which represents more than 20 banks across the country. He joins us from the Commonwealth Bank's head office in Sydney. Matt, good evening. Thank you for your time. Very important to have this communication. Can I just say firstly, though, you vowed to do, quote, everything we can to keep business open and employing staff during a very difficult period for the economy. What are your staff telling you about people with mortgages, business loans, landlords and so on?
Well, obviously, Alan, and thanks for the opportunity to talk with you tonight. There's been a lot of stories across the country, particularly in the last couple of weeks. I've been out visiting branches, I've spoken with business customers as well. Particularly last week, there were large numbers of people coming in and requesting financial assistance, particularly on the back of losing their job or having been stood down. We've received more than 50,000 requests for people to put their home loan repayments on hold. We've automatically enrolled 75,000 small businesses that have loans of less than $5 million. And we're continuing to restructure and offer a number of sort of flexible packages, but we're also trying to provide confidence and certainty to our customers that we'll effectively support them by putting their repayments on hold for 6 months, and that covers 99% of businesses in Australia and all of our home loan customers. And as you said, this is something that the Commonwealth Bank, of course, have done.
Matt, sorry to interrupt you there. Okay, so you're going to put the loan on hold for 6 months. Now, is that going to be a train wreck at the end of the 6 months? Because people are telling me who are ringing up and complaining that they're going to pay interest on their loan and then interest on the interest. So it's compound interest. Is that what you're going to do? Because you and I talked off air today about this issue. Is there some concession that you're prepared to make?
Yes, there is, Alan. We've been hearing this from a number of customers, and particularly across our home loan customers where it's a simple and singular product. We've been thinking about particularly, and banking works on compound interest, as you said, but in a period where we're offering a 6-month repayment deferral, and as I said, we're processing now more than 50,000, we're very conscious that we don't want customers to feel like they're paying interest on interest, which they ordinarily would be. So during the course of today, and we'll be announcing early tomorrow morning, we've actually found a very simple way to address that, and that's effectively to make a one-off payment into each of our customers' accounts to offset that interest on interest charge. And so that means if the average home loan is $350,000, assuming the customer's paying about 3.5%, they will receive about $45 credit that will go into their home loan during the month of April. And we're going to do that across all of our customers that have opted in to ask us for a payment deferral over that 6-month period, specifically to address what you and I discussed on air and off air.
Okay, Graham, your input here?
I'm just listening to Matt talk. Matt, how many customers have you got?
Well, overall, we've got probably 7 million customers. We've got about 2 million home lending customers. And then across our businesses, we serve in one form or another about 500,000 customers, but we'd have about 125,000 where we'd have commercial facilities.
You're the biggest home loan bank in town, aren't you?
Yes, we are. We have, including our Bank West business, almost 25% of the market, or about $450 billion of home loans.
See, Matt,
and how many of your customers are telling you they can't make the repayments?
Well, so far, as I said, and we've created a process where they can let us know digitally, because that's the most convenient way. As you'd understand, we're all dealing with a number of inbound inquiries. So we've had more than 50,000 customers register for the repayment deferral. We expect that number is going to continue to grow. We've had a number of customers that have approached us just to understand what their options are, particularly if they're clearly during this period, quite uncertain. I would say I do think that the government's package that was announced earlier this week is an economy-saving package, both in the context of the size of the package, but also the way that it's been designed, which really gets to the heart of making sure that there's a established link connected between employers and businesses in Australia and employees.
Matt, but I've had customers of yours say that repayments would be delayed for 3 months and then possibly 3 more. But your bank told them at the end of this, they'll need to make arrangements to basically, quote unquote, catch up. Now, what exactly does that mean? Will these missed repayments be structured as a separate loan? This is worrying a lot of people.
Right. No, they won't be. So let's talk about home loans first, which is obviously much larger in number. And a home loan is generally written over a 30-year term. So effectively what we're doing is we're putting a payment deferral in place, or suspending repayments for that 6 months. We're saying tonight we'll also be refunding customers the difference of that interest on interest. And so we can then amortise or reduce the amount of their loan over the remainder of that period, up to 30 years. So for the vast majority of customers, it will have a very small impact. So there's no need for a customer to be repaying
at 6 months, Matt, at 6 months, how many people with loans will be returning to their employment at their previous salary? And then there's a whole heap of people watching you right now who are part of our really little entrepreneurial brigade, which we love in Australia. So they negatively gear, and that's for their retirement, their rainy day. Suddenly, the tenant has lost his job, the tenant can't pay, and the owner, who's negatively geared, has got a loan, and if he can't get tenant money, he can't pay the loan. What happens to these people?
Well, that's right. And as you said, Alan, there's going to be circumstances that differ across all of those customers. I would say it's never in the bank's interest, and clearly for a customer, for them to be unable to repay their loan. And we've aligned broadly, as the economy has, some processes and policies that are in place for those 6 months. But of course, every financial institution, including the Commonwealth Bank, is going to want to help as many customers get through that period. We recognise that the uncertainty may extend well beyond the 6 months, but we need to be able to deal with the period and give customers a degree of certainty during that time. Now, business customers, similar process. As I said, actually for our small business customers, because we wanted to give them immediate relief, and we're seeing them feeling the shock coming through in the economy much faster and more sharply. We actually automatically enrolled 76,000 of our small business customers. We then, over the course of the last week and a half, have gone out and communicated and heard back from all of them. And 99% of those customers have decided that they would like their repayments deferred. And we will then, of course, make sure that the payment that otherwise would have come out of their account in April no longer happens. And then in some of those cases, business facilities can be more complex, and therefore you have to, the way you might structure that can differ to a home loan in terms of the loan term.
Matt, there are many people watching you who sadly are using their credit card, that's all they've got, to buy the groceries, pay for the groceries, pay for the whatever. Now, your interest rate, your cash rate is about 0.25%. Credit card rates are 13, 14, 15%. I'm talking about the Bankers Association now because you're the boss of that. What's your best credit card rate? Because I understand it's about 9%. I mean, good God, that's almost 900 times the cash rate. What are we doing here? Can we give people some relief on credit cards?
Yes, and similarly, I think both the government and, in our case, the Commonwealth Bank, we've been very clear that we're going to continue to look at a number of different measures. You're quite right. Our lowest rate card is 9.9%, which I understand sounds like a very high interest rate relative to where the cash rate is. Credit cards are quite a different product because they're unsecured, they're a much higher risk product. And just to give you some dimensions, in a good year, let's say in 2019, we lost $300 million to customers who didn't repay their credit cards. Those numbers in the environment that we're in can increase substantially. And I know you appreciate the importance of having strong financial institutions at this point in time so that we can really work with our customers and really use our balance sheet to lend and bring customers through to the other side. Now, specifically to your question about how can we help customers. We've been throwing around a lot of solutions internally and trying to work out what we think would be most effective. And again, tomorrow morning, what we'll be announcing is we're going to look at the month of March, and we're going to look at any customers who have been unable to meet the minimum repayment amount on time. And of course, that's most likely going to be the customers who've very recently lost their job and come under real cash flow pressure. The way a credit card would ordinarily work would be you'd be charged a fee for not paying the minimum repayment amount on time, and then you'd pay an interest rate, which would be in the order of what you said, on the balance for the following month. We're going to waive both of those. We're going to set the interest rate to zero, and we're going to remove the fee. So for customers who are in real financial difficulty, this will give them confidence that in the month ahead, they're not going to accrue any additional interest charges.
All right. Well, Matt,
and of course, as you said,
it's good.
I mean, customers are talking to us.
I think that sounds terrific. If we'd heard all of that from the banks earlier on, there would have been no need for a banking royal commission. I mean, I think the commission has had an effect, but I like the way you're talking, Matt. It shows that the banks have got the message.